Hey there, Bible buddies. I've got another Bible review for you today, and this one is a King James Version Cambridge Cameo done in black water buffalo calfskin. Now, the Cambridge Cameo is an edition that's still in print today, and it's a very popular edition, so I will be doing a comparison to it later on, just so we can get a feel for kind of the differences between one of these vintage editions and something that's a newer production model. So we'll go ahead and start on the outside like we always do, and you can see that wonderful black grain of that water buffalo calfskin. And it is a very deep grain. It's not very, like, super kind of, I mean, it's tactile, like you can feel the kind of the lands and the grooves, but it's very smooth kind of on the top portion of it. So it is kind of a smooth leather with some nice kind of deep kind of graininess to it. Very nice leather. Certainly fairly soft. It's not the most flexible of covers only because it's paste down, but it's definitely soft for its time by comparison to some of the other things that were out. We'll take a look and we can see a nice little perimeter line there on the edge. We also have Roger McWhorter, it looks like, imprinted there on the cover. Thank you, Roger, wherever you are. I appreciate your contribution to the channel. We'll take a look at the spine. You can see that perimeter line kind of continues there, and then you have Holy Bible Red Letter Edition, Concordance Dictionary, and then Cambridge down at the bottom. I'm not sure why they don't have the colophon there. It's probably before they started using it, would be my guess. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of rib indications there. They don't really pop up or anything. They're kind of pressed down, and they do appear to be kind of polished. I forget what that word is now that I'm on the spot, but burnished is the word I'm looking for. So they are a little glossy there. They do appear to be kind of burnished in there, but a very nice spine presentation, certainly. I do like this kind of gold that they used. It's almost kind of like maybe more of like a brass color than like a yellowy gold. It's very nice. I like it. On the back cover, we have more of that beautiful, nice green, and then it's clean otherwise, just the perimeter line kind of on the edge there. So we'll take a look at the head and tail bands. You can see that they are kind of Cambridge's red and yellow kind of standard there. There is a nice gold gilt on this one. The gold gilt has been kind of worn away over the years. Whoever owned this Bible before me seems to have used it pretty well. Thankfully, they did leave it clean, so there's nothing other than the name imprinting on the cover there. But the gilt is a little dinged up, which is fine by me. And then we do have one single ribbon, and it is just like a fabric. It's not a satin finished ribbon, so it's not smooth or anything. It's just kind of a coarse fabric ribbon, but it's a pretty good width and it's a pretty good length too, so I don't really have any complaints on it. When we get into it, you'll see that it is a paste down construction. There is some reinforcing tape that you can kind of see there, and it is like a synthetic material here on the inside cover, and then also on the flyleaf there. This is kind of like a glossy, very thick material that has kind of curled the page edges up. You can kind of see it on camera. You can kind of see it up there in the corner. It's kind of curled the pages like that. Whatever this material is, I'm not a fan of it. They've used it on some of their editions over the years, and it's not the nicest of stuff because it tends to do this with the pages. As far as the corner work goes, I'll show you there, for whatever it's worth, on a paste down. You do have water buffalo calfskin there imprinted on the bottom. And then in the back, just the corner work again, nothing imprinted. So, but it seems to have held up well enough. Some of these older Cambridge editions, they tend to split here. But whatever this material is, it seems pretty tough. So hopefully it'll hold up with some use. All right, let's go ahead and get into the biblical text. We do have kind of a thick end sheet there, 2 of them. We have the clean presentation page. We have a blank sheet. Then we have the title page, the Holy Bible, containing the Old and New Testaments. Move this off to the side. And then at the bottom you can see it is Cambridge at the University Press, and then it is the Cameo edition. 16MO is the size. It does have references. It is printed on India paper, and it is a pronouncing text. So those are all kind of the highlights of this edition. It is kind of weird that they didn't annotate the fact that it was red letter. It is a red letter text, but it's weird they didn't annotate that on the front. I know sometimes they do. And there is some of the copyright information on the back of it there. And then you have your epistle dedicatory. Then you have the table of contents. And the listing of all the signs that are used in the book. And the first book of Moses called Genesis. Now, this should be a very familiar kind of layout for you guys. If you're a fan of Cambridge, certainly. Or if you're a fan of the Cameo. It'll look very familiar to you. Let's go ahead and get a little bit in. You can see here there is kind of a weird, if you notice that, the way the pages were kind of broken apart here. This happens because this edition does have overcast stitching, which I'm a fan of. You can see there's this additional line of stitches here running up the kind of the inside of the page there. And that's to help kind of maintain the structure of the Bible. Usually what tends to happen is the first signature, which is like the first kind of block of pages, tends to tear away from the main body of the book of the Bible. So they add this overcast stitching on the front and hopefully on the back also. This one does have it on the back, but that's to kind of hold it all together, just to give it some extra strength in the construction there. But we'll kind of start here. Well, yes, again, this should look pretty familiar to you guys. You have the book names and the chapter numbers that are associated with pages in the top corners. You have the page numbers in the bottom center. You have your chapter indicators. You don't have any kind of running headers within the text. They're at the top of the page here in the center, kind of in the gutter. You do have a double line drop cap here that begins all of the chapters. Again, it is a pronouncing text. So you can see there for Sarah, Sarai, all the pronunciation marks. It is a double column verse by verse. You have your center column references here. All the goodness, all the goodness that's kind of associated with Cambridge editions. So very nice layout, very familiar layout. Cambridge is kind of, if any of you people are like gun fans out there, Cambridge always reminds me of like Glocks. Glocks have kind of, they found the kind of sweet spot and they stuck with it. I feel like Cambridge kind of does the same. And they found the sweet spot and they kind of stuck with it. This verse by verse double column, center column reference kind of layout. So they've done it well. They've perfected it, and it's certainly a very nice addition. So we'll go ahead and kind of chunk through it here. Go to the poetic sections. There's not really going to be much in the poetry because it is a verse by verse, but we'll take a look nonetheless. Here we go, Psalms. You can see it's just kind of standard. We'll take a look at the paper, though, in the poetic section. And you can see how wonderful that India paper is. You can see how wonderfully opaque that paper is. There's very little show through, if any at all. I mean, I guess you can see a little bit up here maybe, but it's very minor, especially kind of considering the thickness of the page. It's not super thick. Maybe, I don't want to guess. I don't know. If I had to guess, maybe equivalent to like a 28 GSM, somewhere around there. But yeah, let's keep going. We'll get to the intertestamental section. The end of Malachi there. Yoink. So then we have the end of the prophets. We have the New Testament title page, and they do call the red letter text here. And then we have the Gospel according to Matthew. I'll flip over to that red letter. You already got a little glimpse of it. But the red letter is, unfortunately, kind of that brighter red letter. It's not quite pink, but it is just a very vivid red. So if you guys are not fans of red letter text, you will probably not be fans of this sort of printing of the red letter text. But yeah, so red letter text. And there is a little bit of, variation as far as darkness goes. I've seen some pages where the red looks very vibrant, and then other pages where the red looks a little bit kind of deeper and darker. And that just probably is kind of a nod to the abilities of the printing presses back then. Kind of for an instance here, this red does look substantially darker than what we were just looking at before. So it could just be because there's less red kind of on that page. I could just be playing a trick on my eye, but it is what it is. We can also see here that the registration was off a little bit. You can see some of the red letters overlaying the black letters underneath them. So it was not printed super stellarly. As far as the registration goes, it was a little mismatched here and there, which is all right. Let's get to the end. There is quite a bit of helps in these Cameo editions, which is nice. It's a very nice, kind of portable, kind of a portable reference Bible, with some really good helps. So we have the end of Revelation there. There is a production code down here. I'm not too familiar with Cambridge's production codes. I don't know if this is like 25 and then C maybe for like 100, so like 2,500 or maybe 25,000. I'm not sure. And then I'm assuming that's 1971 is when this kind of book block was produced, not the actual Bible itself, but when the print was done. I'm assuming that's what it means. If you know, please always feel free to leave a comment down below. I always love getting additional information on that kind of stuff. But after the New Testament, once it wraps up at the end of the Bible there, we have the Concise Bible Dictionary. I'll go ahead and show you guys a close-up of that so you can get a feel for like what's included. But pretty neat to have. There's no pictures or anything. It's just kind of a text, Bible dictionary. Pictures are always nice, but, not mandatory by any means. We'll kind of flip to the end of that in the Bible dictionary. Oop, not even close. Wait, kind of. Here we go, sorry. There we go. So there's the end of the Bible dictionary. And then you have the concordance to the Old and New Testaments. And it's just kind of your standard concordance there. Go ahead and get you in tight so you can see some of the things that they have. I'm kind of take a few chunks at a time. Not that a concordance is going to be anything new, new and exciting. You know, I wonder at the time if a concordance, I'm assuming it would have been something that would have been new and exciting to some of those people, you know, that got their Bibles and were, you know, interested in finding kind of related topics. But, okay, so concordance, we have the end of the concordance here. And that's really it. It's pretty much the Bible dictionary and the concordance. So we have those two and they kind of wrap up here. And then we have the Cambridge Bible Maps and Gazetteer, my favorite word. And then we have a listing of the maps here. I'll show that to you guys. So you can see what maps are included. And these are going to be their older style of maps. Not super old. They're still pretty nice by comparison to some of the things we've seen, especially recently. I feel like we've seen some real doozies lately. But these are certainly nice. The colors are fairly subdued, but they are very easy to read. And they're not super jumbled with information. These kind of always get a little bit jumbly, but not too bad. City looks pretty nice there. And then we have your Gazetteer. I'll show that to you guys too. Why not? It is. I'm not sure what the reason is for it. I'm guessing maybe this Gazetteer wasn't printed on India paper because it has oxidized pretty heavily. This is a pretty yellow color back here of this Gazetteer paper. And then at the end, we have another production code there, 3/1678. So again, I don't know how to read these. I don't know if that was maybe the 16th day of 1978 or what, but there's that code. And then a 27XLR, which I can't read this code either. Maybe cross-references in red letter. I don't know. The X and the RL. I don't know. I'm only taking guesses, though, at this point, really. And then you have a few end sheets there, kind of thicker, like almost like cardstock, pretty thick sheets. And then you just have your flyleaf. You can see this one's kind of warped, too. I'm not sure what caused this. I don't know if maybe, you know, leaving it in the sun or something like that or letting it heat up kind of caused that vinyl to shrink, because this is kind of a vinyl material. If it causes it to shrink and just kind of curl up. But I would imagine it's going to be like this permanently. So, so I don't know. Yeah. So, a very nice edition of the Cambridge Cameo. Certainly, like I said, it's a very classic edition. It's been around for a long time and it's still popular. This one, y'all, believe it or not, I think I paid less than $12 for this one, like on eBay too, at that. So they are still out there. Good Bible deals are still out there, able to be had as long as you keep your eyes open. It was funny because I didn't want to like rush and buy a Cameo. I already have a Cameo. So I wasn't super stoked to get it. So I let this one kind of sit on there and see if anybody would buy it. I let it sit for a few days and nobody bid on it. So I shot the seller an offer, like, you know, they have like make an offer kind of thing. And I always try to do that if it's one that I'm not like super pressed to get or anything like that. So I shot him an offer and he accepted it. So we kind of ran with it. So it's kind of neat. I will probably be letting this one go at some point, only because, like I said, I already have a Cameo and I don't see the point of having two. But it is nice to see kind of a vintage edition of it. Let me go ahead and get you guys some measurements. It's not going to be much different from a new one, but it comes in, let's do the length, at about 7 and, what is that, 7 1/4 inches tall by about 5 and, 5 1/4 inches wide. And as far as thickness goes, it is about 1 1/4 inches thick, just above 1 1/4 inches thick. So let's take a look at the fonts. And we'll look at the uppercase first. We'll do the S here and sing. It appears to be about a 8.5 maybe. 8.5 or 9, somewhere in there. Probably closer to an 8.5 in comparison to Times New Roman, the uppercase. And we'll look at the lowercase. We'll get the M and May here. And it seems to be about 8.5. So about an 8.5 point font all the way around versus Times New Roman. So not a bad size. Certainly if you're not a fan of compact Bibles, this probably won't be for you. If you prefer full size Bibles, this font might be a little on the smaller side. 8.5 is still readable for me, but I know some will struggle for anything above 10, and certainly for 10 point fonts for me tend to be more comfortable, as you would imagine. So let's go ahead and do a quick comparison to the new one. So we have obviously the old on the left, the new on the right, and you can see right out the gate they're very similar. There's not going to be much of any much of any difference. We'll take a look at the sizes here. And you can see, well, we'll start there, I guess. They're very similar. It looks like the new one appears to be a little bit thicker than the old one, the new one on top there. As far as size is concerned, the footprints are exactly the same. Yeah, very similar in size. You know, it's funny. It almost looks like the new one's text block is a little thicker. I could be wrong, though. But, like, the old one seems to be thicker just because the leather's a little thicker. I don't know. They're very close in size. I mean, you'd probably a millimeter or two apart, if that. So let's go ahead and open them up and we'll take a look at the text and the paper versus one another. And you can see kind of the benefit of that India paper versus this sort of newer stuff. Now, right at the gate, you're going to see that the new Cambridge here has much wider paper, and obviously that's to be expected. It's a new Bible. But one interesting thing to note, actually, let's see if I can turn to the same page, 687, so that way you guys can see that it's the same. So there is your, I'm going to put these pages apart, there we go. Bloop. Okay, so there. All right, new one on the left. So you can see the layout is exactly the same. You have the Book of Psalms, and then you have, it ends on verse 5 and that sort of thing. It does appear to have been cleaned up a little bit. You see definitely a good bit more of kind of print variation. Like you can see on the bottom here, the righteous seems to be darker than kind of the text above it. And then on the right-hand side here, the darkness and lightness kind of fades in and out, whereas the darkness is pretty uniform in this updated Cameo. So if that's something that kind of grinds your gears, I guess, so to speak, you might want to go with the newer version of the Cameo for kind of that consistency in the print. But you will see kind of the main thing to look at here is going to be that kind of opacity. So I'll show you the new one first. And you can see kind of in here, all the text, like I can read it, the Lord. I can't read past that, but I can see the word, oh Lord. So I can see those kind of right out the gate, and I can see a little bit of the text there. Now I can see it on this edition with the Oxford paper, but it is significantly less show through. Yeah, definitely less show through between the two. I don't know if I'll be able to get it both in frame there for you guys to see. We can kind of see it there in the comparison. So if you guys are interested in the Cambridge Cameo, it's going to be your call. Certainly the newer edition with the goatskin leather is just nicer, and it's new and it's pretty and all that kind of stuff. But if you're interested in getting kind of an inexpensive Cambridge Cameo, I do see them pop up from time to time on eBay. And, I'm not going to say that you're always going to get them for $11, but I've seen them pop up, around $20 for decent editions. I feel like this is probably this might have been a little fortuitous for me to get kind of this find, because usually they do tend to go for a little bit more, but it's possible to get them. Let me just put it that way. And certainly the paper, I prefer. This is more of a bone colored paper. It hasn't really oxidized, with the exception of the gazetteer in the back that was kind of oxidized. But this paper itself, it's kind of a nice bone color, which I prefer versus this sort of. Open it back up now. Versus this kind of a little more. It's not quite neutral, but it's a little creamy, slightly creamy color versus the bone. I like the bone paper better. And as far as consistency of the print goes, I don't know. It's not super bad in this. It's enough to where I could live with. But if you're looking for like a really, really nice dark print, definitely go with the newer one. But the old one, if you can find it for a good price, go with that too. It's a nice addition. Bible Buddies, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to leave them down below. If you could subscribe, comment, all that cool YouTube stuff to help me out, it would be much appreciated. Until next time, Bible Buddies. Bye.